Hi. Okay, this video is all over the place. To start, we begin upside down, and so I have corrected that. This is the ink I am using. It is an iron gall ink. Be careful with iron galls, they can be corrosive. This was a handmade ink that I found on Etsy, so make sure you always clean off your pens. I will be using this dip pen holder. This is from an Art Deco set, so 1920s thereabouts. It was made in Germany. I have to fix the flap one day, but anyways, I am also trying this nib out for the first time. Right now, I am forgetting what it is, so I will post a link down below, but it was recommended to me by someone here on YouTube, and apparently this is one of the favorite flex nibs for dip pen. So to start, I was like, okay, the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plains. I did it again. I'm going to remedy that and put it down correctly. And so I write out this whole thought about redoing it. And then I start getting really worried about knocking the bottle over. That's one thing that the bottle is beautiful, the label is beautiful. I liked the frosted component, or the frosted glass. The cap is really nice, has that wonderful plastic weight to it, the like Bakelite sort of heft to it. But it's very narrow, so I feel like it would very easily be knocked over. Honestly, my favorite inks that I have used thus far for writing with a dip pen is diamine, just because of the bottles. The bottles have a nice wide base, and they're very unlikely to spill over, which is a relief. And I am very worried about that narrow bottle. You could see it wobbling every once in a while. It's like, ooh. So I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like goofing around. I just wanted to get a feel for this nib. This is, I think this might actually be my first new nib for the dip pens. I actually have quite a few dip pens. I haven't really talked much about them, but all the nibs on them are rather old. So I'm just kind of getting a feel for it. My handwriting is a little bit all over the place. I also don't have much experience with this ink, and I was wondering, I was having some trouble with the pen not writing, despite it being freshly dipped. So I was wondering, is it the nib, or could it be this iron gall ink? The flow perhaps it doesn't have like a flowing agent, maybe. I don't know. I also wonder if maybe it would be really advantageous to have a tilted writing surface for this. The flow would be better, more consistent. So yet another thing to experiment with. I did shake up the ink before I started, so I don't know if it could be some sediments, and of course a little blop, which is ironic because I was just talking or writing, and please, pen gods, don't let me spill this bottle. And there's like a little plop of ink, which was not at all planned, just appropriately timed. I forget what the paper is, but I'll look it up and try to remember to post that in the description as well. It's a really nice paper to write on, and it holds up to the ink quite well. Here I'm just writing about how I suspect a sloped writing surface would be advantageous, like I said earlier. But I did start to get fairly frustrated when the pen would not write, despite, you could see right there actually, I'm like dipping it so many times. Like, what the heck, guys? Why are you writing? And I keep powering through it for a little while, assuming that it is user error, and that is most likely the case. Despite that little part of it, which again may be user error, this nib is incredibly enjoyable to write with, and I can see why it is such a popular nib to write with. I'm assuming I bought the right one that was recommended. And if I have not, then oops. But either way, this has been a good nib. It still isn't the same as a vintage flex, but I could just be completely biased and impartial to the vintage flex nibs because they're wonderful. And here it is again, where I keep dipping. I even clean off the nib, thinking, okay, maybe there's too much buildup, or maybe there is some cotton fibers in between the tines, which is, always a possibility. This is a pigmented ink, so I don't know, maybe it just can get a little clogged. Today is officially the reopening of the city, so there's like a lot of traffic. It's been kind of getting, people have been adventuring out more this past week, and now we're supposed to be going back to normal, but the schools will still be shut down through the summer, so that's good at least. And actually, they're talking about not reopening in the fall, or at least immediately. So we'll see. I wonder how everyone else is doing in their life and in the world and with this COVID-19. Okay, so wait, did I pull out? I pulled out, yes, okay. So I'm having a hard time seeing the video. I got really frustrated with that nib, hard starting, or whatever you call it, and so I pulled out one of my most dainty, delicate dip pens. This is supposedly from the Victorian period, circa 1900, and it has a gold flex nib that reads Leroy on it. It's a number 2 size, although this number 2 seems considerably smaller than the number 2s on my fountain pens, so I'm not sure. Maybe they're the same size. I actually don't know. I haven't directly compared them, but I wondered if the sizing on a dip pen is a little bit different than on a fountain pen. But I feel very comfortable with this nib. It is so soft, and you barely have to do anything, and it just has quite a lot of flex too. It's also very smooth. And there I was actually having a little bit of difficulty with the flow of the ink as well. So it could quite possibly just be the ink. I've written with this dip pen for a long time using other inks and have never had an issue, so it could just be this ink. And I gave up on trying to get the expression right, so we're just gonna go with it. The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plains. Bye.